Hello there. Here is a poem by Dorothy Frances Gurney called God's Garden. The kiss of the sun for pardon, the song of the birds for mirth. One is nearer God's heart in a garden than anywhere else on earth. Gardens are for so many people very special places, but they're very varied places. They're places of work and of leisure. They're places of failure and of achievement. They're places where people are in charge, but not with unlimited control. They're places of great generosity, of abundance, but also of a price to be paid in work and commitment and money. They're places of peace, but also of conflict. We would like to have a garden that's a good place for sparrows and a good place for sparrowhawks, but we can't avoid the fact that they're bitter enemies. On a smaller scale, there are small animals, creepy crawlies and so on, whom we don't care about quite so much, but they're proceeding on their own little wars and vendettas and living their own lives. Perhaps that's a part of the value of a garden. There's a completeness about a garden. All parts of life are there in their little different ways. Gardens are special places in many religions, and indeed even anchorites and anchoresses who kept well away from the world, although it was all around them, but they were occasionally allowed a little garden to lighten their lives. And there are gardens in the Bible, two in particular. There's the place where Adam and Eve were given to live, and it's called a garden, the Garden of Eden, and it seems it was perfect. And this was the sort of life God had intended for people to live. And in another garden in Jerusalem, Jesus prepared himself for what he was going to suffer. These are two gardens that stand close to the centre of our faith. Where we find God is up to us, but I think Gurney was onto something. In Genesis chapter 2, a stream would rise from the earth and water the whole face of the ground. Then the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. And the Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. Out of the ground the Lord God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.